Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. This is the Succession of Changing Kings. My name is Ben the Human. Welcome. We are starting a new run here. In ancient chronicles covered with the dust of oblivion, 5 kings are mentioned, each of whom reigned for no more than 444 days. This was the exact amount of time needed for each contender to complete the path to coronation, a peculiar tradition rooted in sacred texts. One by one they ascended the throne, and one by one they fell. That was good timing on the reading. This period became known as the Succession of Changing Kings. A once prosperous kingdom had withered into a decaying fiefdom. Fields that had yielded bountiful harvests were now overgrown with weeds. Trade caravans had all but vanished, and the finest of its people had to abandon their homeland in search of a better future. A few dared to hope that you, the last of an ancient dynasty, would succeed in breaking this vicious cycle. The wise patriarch went to the throne of light to pray for you. Before leaving, the patriarch vowed to return in exactly 444 days to preside over your coronation. Until then, you will remain a dauphin, a mere shadow of a future king. This is a unique kind of strategy game that was gifted to me. As you ascend the throne, the sky above the castle was gray and gloomy. Doubt swirled around you, denser than the clouds overhead. Yet somewhere in your mind, a thought flickered. Your fate has not yet been sealed. That's right. I'm in charge. Time loomed over you like an unrelenting weight, but once chance remained, the only chance to prove that you were more than just another failure on the throne. To show that you were once... Whoopsies. Once you were the one who could restore light and glory of the kingdom, break the succession of changing kings at any cost, survive to be crowned king. I opened up the page for the game on Steam. This is by Quaqua Games. Thank you for the code from Quaqua Games to check this out. We are now in the tutorial. It is a medieval strategy game where choices matter, is how it was pitched to me. So now we're going to check it out together. The hall was cloaked in dim light with the flickering glow of the fireplace casting long shadows on the walls, lending the surroundings an air of mystery. You stood by the massive window, gazing out at the distant hills. Your thoughts drifted between past and future, fears and hopes intertwining. Faint footsteps echoed in the corridor. The heavy door opened soundlessly, and Adrian Holloway entered the room. Of course you had heard of him. His gray hair and bushy mustache gave him the appearance of a sage from old legend. The steward paused at the threshold, regarding you with a look of respect tinged with subtle sorrow. Your Grace, he began softly, his voice smooth and warm like velvet spreading through the room. Allow me to offer my congratulations on your ascension to the throne. I am Adrian Holloway, your steward and henceforth your loyal servant. I am here to assist you in this trying hour. I am ready. Faint, barely perceptible smile flickers across Adrian's lips as he gestured toward the table where a map of the kingdom lay spread out. Let us start with the fundamentals, he began. Here on this map are all the lands of our kingdom, every region, every village, every forest, and every river. This is your kingdom, and you must know it as well as the back of your hand. Adrian's long, graceful fingers glide over the map, bringing its features to life with each motion. You rule not just over the land, but over its people, he continued, his tone taking on a sterner edge. Every soul, from the humblest peasant to the mightiest noble, looks to you for justice and wisdom. But understand this, justice is a concept that varies from one person to the next, and sometimes wisdom demands actions that seem to defy justice. Equally vital is maintaining a respectable level of the kingdom's defense. The lower it falls, the more pirates, bandits, and unscrupulous neighbors will seek to exploit it. A weakened healthcare invites epidemics and disease. Threats no fortress walls, no matter how strong, can keep at bay. So we have health, we have defense, and initiative, which I'm sure he'll tell us about. Maybe? The steward led you through the narrow corridors of the castle, past ancient tapestries and stone arches. You stopped before a massive door adorned with intricate carvings. Adrian produced a key that he always carried and opened it. He guided you to a large writing desk made of dark wood, where neatly arranged project cards were laid out. Here is a list of potential projects for construction and people you may consider hiring, sire, he explained, gesturing towards the scrolls. Oddly enough, despite the succession of changing kings, the castle's vaults still hold a decent stockpile of gold. There is also a fair amount of stone, timber, and ore in the storerooms, but your time is limited, and these resources must be spent wisely. Use your royal initiative prudently. It is your most critical resource. He pauses, allowing you to absorb the gravity of his words. You must decide whether to repair the heavily worn fortress walls, or to strengthen the royal guard. Perhaps it is better to provide work for the commoners so they don't idle about aimlessly. Do you enjoy good health? Adrian's gaze shifted to you with a hint of concern. Because there are no physicians left in the castle. The last city doctor departed. For Thorn a week ago, right after your predecessor's funeral. He sighs, his tone lowering and becoming more serious. I bring this up because King Radwin, whom the people mockingly called Radwin Forgive Me Please, humiliated the commoners to such an extent that they hung him in the town square. And King Gilbert the Glutton fared no better. His unbridled appetite led to his demise. He died at the dining table. Rumor has it he was poisoned, though no proof was ever found. His gaze sweeps over the study. Every decision you make shall shape the fate of this kingdom, sire, and affect how your subjects perceive you. Should you favor any of the four influential factions, the commoners, the army, the aristocrats, or the church, fall to critical levels, the consequences will be dire. As of today, you likely have no idea who supports or opposes you. Hiring an informant would be a wise first step. I like that idea. So we got the commoners, army, aristocracy, that's the word, and church. Okay, so we want to balance all of these. That makes sense. Adrian led you further through the corridors, eventually arriving at the throne hall, a modest room with walls adorned by banners and a single throne standing against the stone wall. Sire, this is the throne hall, Adrian began, gesturing towards the throne. Here is where you will make swift decisions, pass judgment, and hear reports. He fixed you with a serious look, emphasizing the gravity of his next words. Before you end your day, remember to visit me here in the throne hall, Adrian continues. News often arrives by the end of the day, along with urgent matters requiring your judgment. This is crucial to keep your finger on the kingdom's pulse. You nod, understanding the significance of the ritual. Adrian took the cue to proceed. Once you have attended to matters in the throne hall, you may retire for the night, and the next day will begin. It is vital to hold out for 444 days, as many forces will try to thwart you. Those uninterested in the kingdom's prosperity, those seeking their own gain, external enemies, and internal conspirators. He pauses, giving you time to absorb his words, and then added with quiet conviction. And don't dismiss the curse of ill fortune. Even if you don't believe in destiny, stay vigilant, sire, and may Lumen's light guide you. Let's do it. All right, we got a couple different things going on here. Matters of the port, twist of the wrist, and a bit of trickery. Lost in the woods, curb your appetite. Let's start with the three eyes here. Parhelia, a rare phenomenon, graced the skies of the kingdom for the first time in a century. Two dazzling solar discs flanking the true sun like loyal sentinels. The Luminists, ever faithful to their doctrine, interpreted this as a sign of divine purification. 3 suns burn away all sins like 3 fiery eyes of the celestial judge, they said. News of this event spread like wildfire across the kingdom, and people abandoned their daily lives to embark upon pilgrimage. Holy texts prescribed a 3-day, 3-night journey, permitting stops only for rest and cleansing. However, the church was clearly unprepared for such an overwhelming movement. Now you are deep in thought. Should you organize aid for thousands of pilgrims suddenly taking to the roads, or let them fend to themselves? Gosh. We don't have a hospital, so that one's out. 100 or 2 soldiers. I assume 100 or 200 to maintain order on the roads. Set up tents along the main route. Feed all comers and provide assistance as needed, and make sure they remember, praise the king, or let them fend for themselves. I kind of like the idea of like having the army keep order. I thought the army would be cranky about it. Your soldiers are always irked when they're used as glorified guards. Let us see how they react when true warfare calls. That said, they managed to prevent any major incidents, so we gained some church, and we gained some royal influence, or initiative. I would like to recruit the informant, like they told me. I don't have enough initiative for anything, so never mind. That's not right. I was like, where do I hire an informant? Maybe this one? Or Lost in the Woods? Complete all the maps first. All right. So this would boost our defense and our armory. +1 initiative every turn. That one sounds nice because it would kind of pay for itself over time. Let's try twist of the wrist and a bit of trickery. So you can kind of see how this game works. Is like there's lots of events, there's a lot of reading. So if that's not really your thing, maybe it's not your game. But there is a narrator. I just felt like his cadence was kind of off for how I like to play, so I like to read through. Hopefully you don't mind my voice. Yeah. All right. You travel back to the castle along winding country roads that snake between rolling green hills and dense leafy forests. The main trade route, usually bustling with merchants and life, has been rendered impassable by recent rains, forcing your entourage to take a detour. The sun dips low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the path. Suddenly, up ahead, you spot a gathering of people. They form a circle, and laughter and applause echo from its center. As you approach, you see a magician clad in a long hooded cloak, deftly juggling, before pulling vibrant flowers out of thin air as if by magic. Troy, son of Gishbar, at your service, he announces with a graceful bow, meeting your gaze. His voice brims with energy, and almost otherworldly charisma makes you instinctively want to trust this peculiar fellow. You decide to stop and watch the performance. Your companions gather around you, forming a semicircle so you can enjoy the spectacle. Noticing you among the audience, Troy begins his act. First, he pulls a white dove from his empty sleeve. The bird soars skyward, drawing gasps of wonder from the crowd. Then he conjures coins from the air, expertly flipping them from hand to hand before they vanish as suddenly as they appeared. His movements are swift and precise, every gesture honed by years of practice. Enchanted by the magician's craft, you don't immediately realize that your small travel pouch containing your money has disappeared. It's only after the performance ends, as the crowd begins to disperse, that you prepare to continue your journey, that you notice the loss. My coin pouch, you mutter, glancing around. Your guards immediately begin searching for the suspicious magician, but the nimble wizard, quote-unquote, has vanished into the crowd, leaving behind only the memory of his mesmerizing show. I don't have a detective. We must hunt down the scoundrel. Damn! Now I seem ridiculous. Oh, so you can only do 2 things per day? And I lost initiative. Rough. The butler catches you poring over documents belonging to your predecessors. The previous Dauphins, much of what you have read today could only be described as dribble, as Gilbert the Glutton's 76 donut recipes or Magnus the Heretic's annotated chess games. However, a significant portion was penned by Cigaris the Recluse, perhaps the most accomplished of the changing kings. He was only 4 days shy of coronation. You stretch lazily, allowing your still young bones to creak like those of an elder. Your Majesty, Adrian La Holloway begins, his tone reverent but firm, may I offer some advice? Everyone is eagerly awaiting a sign of your favor. Countess Vinchel, Holy Father Lumiel, General Bardarian have already arrived in the capital. It is widely believed that the first audience granted by a new ruler signals where their loyalties will lie. You recall your conversation with the butler yesterday and decide to probe further. And if my Majesty were to show favor to the common folk, whom should I meet with? For a moment, a well-knowing Adrian freezes, caught off guard, and then he recovers and answers, Sir, that is somewhat unconventional, as the common folk have no formal representative. However, I suppose you could forego meeting the 3 high-ranking figures and instead visit the nearest village. Such an act would send a very clear message. That is really interesting, but it would probably piss off all the people that normally hold power. Yeah, let's meet with the general. In less than 15 minutes, the butler brings General Bardarian to you. You decided that General Bardarian deserved the first audience with you. The doors of the hall opened without a knock, and the general appeared in the doorway. Bardarian was completely bald, his head gleaming under the torchlight, with several scars crisscrossing his skin, each telling a story of countless battles. His face is rugged and sharp with deep wrinkles, spoke of years spent on the battlefield. His dark, penetrating eyes are sharp and observant. A single hint of bulkiness only emphasized his powerful physique and commanding presence. Bardarian stopped in front of the throne and bowed his head in respect. Your Majesty, thank you for this honor, he says, his deep, gravelly voice resonating throughout the hall. The king nods, inviting the general to speak, which is me. Bardarian straightened, his gaze turning serious and determined. Your Majesty, I have come not only to express my gratitude, I have come to speak plainly. If you choose to support the army, you will have no allies more loyal than us. The army and I personally will stand by you until the end. We will die for you if necessary. The general paused, letting the echo of his words ring in the silence of the hall. Then his tone turned harsher as he continued. But the history of our kingdom remembers those who chose otherwise. Take King Anzabal the Peaceful, for example. As you know, his reign was the shortest, just 99 days. He believed that maintaining fortresses and supporting the military was too costly for the treasury. First, he disbanded his personal guard, and then began cutting troops and reducing funding from military facilities. He took a step forward, his eyes glinting fiercely. By the end of the 3rd month, the troops marched into the capital. Without much ceremony, the king was executed in the main square. Beheaded, Anzabal thought peace could be bought, but he failed to grasp one simple truth. Without a strong army, there is no peace. Yes, the army never fully recovered, but we learned our lesson. We will not allow such a thing to happen again. The general bowed his head once more, paying respect to the king. I say this not to frighten or to threaten you, your majesty. The Holy Father and the Countess may never speak so directly, but they have plenty of ways to depose a Dauphin as they have done before. We believe in you, your majesty. As a token of our friendship, the army will undertake restoration of one of the capital's critical structures. Let's drink to that. It is, of course, reassuring to have an ally like Bardarian. You cannot shake the thought that your uncle Anzabald was coldly beheaded by the very general of his own army. We gain the fencing instructor, -1 initiative every 4 turns, but we get 2 initiative every turn. So you gain 8 total and lose 1. So I don't... Invaluable training. I wonder why... Maybe, I guess there's some things that he would probably unlock. Like there were events that we could do if we had certain buildings in our employ. Stingy and even stingier. In the early days of your reign, news arrived at the death of Garpar Lagar. I don't know how to pronounce this I in front of the thing, so I'm just going to ignore it. Garpagon, a notorious miser aristocrat and possessor of untold wealth. His name was synonymous with greed and hoarding, and even in his final days he remained true to his principles. Having no direct heirs, his many relatives eagerly awaited the chance to claim the vast fortune hidden within the depths of his desolate mansion. However, Garpagon's will proved a fitting epitaph to his life of stinginess. In his final decree, he ordered, "My wealth shall go to no one. Bury it with me." This command caused a wave of outrage and debate, and the matter was brought before you as the supreme arbiter with the hope that you would bring justice to such an absurd situation. Donated to the construction of a new monastery. This is stupid. Do not bury it. I don't even have the option to let it to bury it. I think I want to send it to the people. Because this is going to make everybody happy. I lost some initiative. Historians would later describe this event as the Drunken Week. Across the kingdom, peasants drank as though Lumen had descended to Earth and declared the end of days. The common folk were delighted, but all work ground to a halt. Honestly, I'm okay with that. A single initiative to make the people really happy. I'm signaling to them I'm a different kind of guy. You toss and turn restlessly in your bed. Your pillow is far too soft and your neck quickly stiffens. My first royal decree should be to ban soft pillows, you think, rising from the bed. In the fireplace, a single log crackles faintly as it burns out. Sleep eludes you on your first night as a sovereign. Will you be able to bear such a heavy burden? Will you even survive to see the end of next week? Questions upon questions. Suddenly, there is a brilliant flash that lights up the room, and hurriedly you step out onto the balcony. A star! A falling star! The palace guards shout in excited voices below. Hey, more initiative. Many witnessed the falling star tonight and saw it as a good omen for the start of the new king's reign. However, there were also those who believed that the reign would be as brilliant and fleeting as the star's descent. End of turn. You guys have anything to say, or are you just like hanging out here? Done. Nice. End your turn when you are ready. We still don't have anything to buy, and we have the fencing instructor here, so... Before you retire for the night, you receive the daily summary from your butler. So we gain +6 initiative, got a fencing instructor, and we bet on the army. From the history of Valendor, Vaseline the Grey, the kingdom's last rightful ruler, died without leaving a direct heir. His death marked the start of the succession of changing kings, with no regent living long enough to be crowned. Oh! What is happening down here? There's a mystical storm afoot. Okay, so we can do different things depending on the faction. I really want to get I really want to get an informant, but I don't know where to get one. Wonder if it's in the... Oh, there he is. I need an inn. Okay, so let's get an inn. Build that. One turn. Okay, now we can get informants next turn. Can you go negative on initiative? I guess we'll find out. Harder the training, harder the battle. Matters of the port. There's no sadder story in the world. Let's do the port here. The capital's docks welcome incoming ships with their clean quayside. Bring bright orange tiled roofs and the scent of 1,000 spices. It is nothing like the usual expectations of a trading port with its drunkards, the aroma of stale sweat, and the colorless vomit splashing onto the cobblestones after days of being tossed about on the waves. The credit for the pristine state of the capital's waterfront lies with the old aristocratic family of House Nightingale. They own most of the buildings and warehouses in the port. However, this cleanliness comes at a steep cost. Local merchants pay exorbitant rents, additional levies, and endure the absence of the city guard. By decree of King Radwin, please forgive me, the city watch no longer patrols the ports. On one hand, this denies the opportunity to, quote, earn a little extra from foreign traders. On the other hand, it clearly weakens the capital's security. A united group of merchants and city guards has approached you, demanding not only the repeal of House Nightingale's privileges, but also a significant curbing of their excessive demands in the capital's port. They're the backbone? No, I think because the merchants and the city guards both have a vested interest in this. Ooh, I don't have enough in. I like this that he's allowed to set rents, but you can't hold back the city guard. So little down on the noble, little down on the commoner, but up on the army and gain some initiative. Sometimes compromises satisfy no one. This is one of those times. The aristocrat expressed strong disapproval of having his rights limited, pointedly reminding you that the port is the only respectable place it is today due to his efforts. Meanwhile, the merchants grumbled that since the king didn't fully reign in the overbearing aristocrat, they could soon expect another rent increase. The army, however, was pleased. Still, a 2-1 decision isn't the kind of outcome you should aim for. If you wish to avoid sharing the fate of King Radwin, please forgive me. Okay, so I probably should have leaned into pissing off the nobles more and maybe helping out the commoners. And then maybe trying to get the nobles a little happy. The Cattleman's Alley was bathed in the light of the setting sun when tragedy struck, shaking the peace of the capital. 2 noble houses, Montague and the Calipetto family, Romeo and Juliet, anyone? Whose names are always on the lips of high society, clashed in a deadly confrontation. The feud between these families had roots that stretched back through the ages, but this time it ended in heartbreak. Younger Tibor Calipetto, a fiery youth with pride ablaze in his heart, and challenged Mercurio Montague to a battle. Their clash like a bolt of lightning unfolded before the astonished citizens. What began as heated words soon escalated into desperate blows. Before anyone could intervene, Tibor's blade pierced his chest. The blood of the young Montague streamed into the cobblestones, mingling with the dust, forming patterns as if an invisible artist painted a masterpiece. Mercurio's last words were filled with bitterness and curses, echoing across the hushed square. The old feud reignited with a new fury, like a spark igniting dry straw. The Montague family, stricken with grief and rage, demanded justice, calling for Tibor to face harsh punishment. The Calipettos, on the other hand, claimed the duel was fair and that Mercurio's death was nothing more than tragic but rightful conclusion of the conflict. Let them pay the family gold equal to the weight. Oh! I got a negative across the board. A maze to nowhere. You stumbled upon a massive cobweb-covered portrait of your great-great-great-great-grandfather, Tartargon the Builder, in one of the castle's far corners. Family legends claim that he was the one who completely rebuilt the capital and the royal fortress. Overcome with a sudden wave of gratitude toward your noble ancestor, you've ordered the portrait cleaned and hung in a more prominent place. However, the servants discovered a hidden entrance to a dark underground passage behind it. Will you send someone to explore it, descend yourself, or leave the secrets untouched? I'm gonna go myself. Hell yeah! After a few hours of your absence, the castle guard finally raised the alarm. Impressive, truly. The king vanishes for a couple hours and they hardly bat an eye. However, their assistants only needed to haul out a rotten chest filled with gold coins. It might be worth giving this castle a closer look. It's not as unimpressive as it first seemed. Hell yeah, for initiative. And then a piece of iron. A star fell from somewhere in Verador, the ancient uninhabited forest in the southern part of the kingdom. Searching for it could take weeks, yet you have a strong feeling that finding it is essential and that it might play a significant role in your future. Yeah, let's lead we're gonna lead from the front here. I lost some initiative. You fussed quite a bit during the trip, making a couple of rash decisions along the way. The guards, of course, didn't dare contradict the king, but they would have finished faster without your involvement. In the end, all that remained of the fallen star was a small piece of iron. The fragment was unearthed and handed to the royal blacksmith for further study. Very cool. Maybe we can make like a cool crown with it or something. Although they said it was small. You sit in the throne hall watching the play of light reflecting through the stained glass windows when a group of peasants and a noble aristocrat appears before you. Their faces are tense and anxious, and you realize that you're about to make another difficult decision. When were they ever easy? At the head of the peasants stands the village elder, his face lined with deep wrinkles. Next to him is a young shepherd, judging by his attire. Opposite them stands the aristocrat Edward Melwood, haughty and confident in his claim. 5 years ago, the common folk rented a patch of land in the foothills from Melwood to graze their sheep. The land seemed barren, but for the peasants it was their only hope of feeding their families. Fate, however, had other plans. While grazing their sheep, the shepherds discovered a rich vein of silver. They kept their discovery hidden from the landowner. When Edward Melwood learned of the silver, he demanded the return of all the extracted ore and immediately sought to terminate the lease, claiming that the resources of the land were by right his. The desperate peasants have come to you, their king, to seek justice. I guess it depends on who you think owns the land. Probably we don't have any laws about this. I personally think it would make sense that the guy who owned, because he was renting it to them to like graze sheep, not to be like, all right, you get to extract all the ore in it. The mine is hereby seized as royal property. Let the common folk keep the silver they have already mined, but the noble man has right to terminate the lease and immediately return the extracted and vacate the land at once. The lease is for 5 years. They may continue to use the land and the silver they mine. So this is for the peasants. This is for the middle ground, which would probably piss off both of them. And then this one is this is for the aristocrats, and then this one I assume is to gain initiative and then piss everybody off. I'm kind of thinking, because I've already pissed off a lot of nobles already, help out the aristocrat and piss off the little people a little bit, I guess. To you he offered a curt thank you before hurrying off to calculate his profits. We have 3 initiative. That's not enough to do anything with, I don't think. The cheapest is 9, and we have 3, so... We received 8 this turn. That's pretty sick. And we gained an inn. Right, we would like to hire a spy. The informant. An anonymous informant lurking in the shadows delivers invaluable insights into the kingdom's sentiments. Their reports are crucial for maintaining control over internal affairs. All right, so we hired that guy, and now we are down to the last of our initiative. We also have a tavern. Oh, look at this dude! Yesterday broke a mug. Today they'll wreck a table. Tomorrow they'll probably burn down the tavern. That's it? You have nothing else to say? Interesting. What do we got? Trapped in the snow. Harder the training, harder the battle. Filler Brushbill. Let's check out the army here. All right. The harder the training, the harder the battle. You accepted General Bardarian's invitation to attend the annual military drills near the fortress of Okor, located on the northeastern part of your kingdom. This event was an opportunity to witness the finest soldiers of the realm in action. The fortress of Okor loomed atop a hill, its walls and garrison serving as the shield between your kingdom and the Duchy of Thorn. Thorn's golden age is long past, and today it poses no threat, but 30 years ago, a young barbarian earned his first scar beneath these very walls. The gates of the fortress creak open and you rode inside on horseback. The inner courtyard was bustling with soldiers, their faces a mix of curiosity and interest. General Bardarian stood at the base of the main tower, greeting you with a broad smile and a welcoming gesture. Welcome to Okar, your majesty. We are honored by your presence at our annual drills. You followed the general through the fortress, observing the soldiers' training. Warriors honed their skills on training dummies, shot arrows at targets, and performed coordinated group assaults. The ritual was not only a demonstration of their prowess, but also a testament to their discipline and endurance. Time flew by, and the drills concluded with exhibition bouts using practice swords between the best soldiers. Watching the mastery of your finest troops wielding their swords, you felt reassured about the kingdom's future. Your Majesty, Bardarian said, I know you trained extensively in your youth with both sword and rapier. Would you care to demonstrate your skills against one of my soldiers? I'm certain it would leave the impression we desire. I have not practiced in some time, but well, they say what is well learned is never forgotten. To the barrier! Certainly, how fortunate that I have recently resumed fencing lessons. Yes! I'm a badass! Your opponent was round-faced young lad with the farmhand's build. Who had he been before becoming a soldier? A shepherd, a stable boy, a farmer? He gave you little time to wonder as he charged with a ferocious assault. A less prepared opponent would have collapsed under his relentless, well-practiced strikes, but not you. Swiftly parrying his next attack, you struck back with trained precision, delivering a series of crushing blows. By tomorrow, those blows would leave impressive bruises. Your opponent lowered his head, conceding defeat, while the crowd of soldiers erupted into cheers. We got a +2 in initiative and +2 with the army. Hell yeah. Inspection in Lucor. I wonder if we should... Can I assign... I have an informer. What does he do? Oh, 1 turn. Okay, we'll find out what he does next turn. Let's check out the boat. You arrive in Lucor for an inspection, determined to personally assess the condition of its fortress and port. Situated in the Bay of Storms, Lucor is perhaps the only settlement that remained unscathed during the era of changing kings. Its bustling seaport welcomes dozens of ships daily from Dalaman, Kokeo, Torn, the 3 nations on the same continent as your own, as well as distant overseas lands. The fortress commander, Roderick Hansen, proudly guides you through the sturdy fortifications and the impeccably trained guard. His eyes shine with pride for his men and the mighty walls safeguarding this vital strategic point. Your Majesty, Roderick claims, leading you across the fortress grounds, Lucor is ready to face any threat. Our fortifications have been upgraded, and the guard trains daily to prepare for any attack. You nod, impressed by his words and the sights before you. The servants and soldiers work in perfect harmony, and the fortress exudes an air of discipline and order. Leisurely, you make your way to the docks, where building materials are being unloaded using wooden cranes. The towering mechanisms resembling enormous wooden wheels with pulleys and ropes hoist heavy cargo from ships to the shore. Suddenly, you notice one of the ropes snapping, threatening to send a stack of crates crashing down onto an unsuspecting bystander below. Time is of the essence. Desperately shout a warning. You shout girlishly, but it has no effect. The rope snaps under the crate's weight and it crashes down, killing several workers instantly. Rats. Well, I tried my best. I didn't want to get myself killed. That would have been a hilarious way for the king's reign to end 8 days in, though, huh? That would have been an embarrassing one. Aha! The thing we found. Merely a piece of iron? You enter the workshop just as the blacksmith finishes examining the gleaming fragment of the fallen star. After the chilly streets of Valandor, the room feels unbearably stuffy, and you're tempted to shed your cloak despite the breach of etiquette. The young, muscular blacksmith greets you with a friendly smile and informs you he has carefully studied the fragment. Nothing extraordinary. If you had not mentioned that it fell from the sky, I would not have noticed anything unusual. The only thing I can say that working with this metal makes my head spin, similarly to working with lead. You bid him farewell, informing him that the fragment would be collected the following day. However, the next day, oh my god! You were told the blacksmith was found dead. There were no signs of foul play. It seemed as though he simply lay down, fell asleep, and never woke up. None of the blacksmith's belongings appear to be missing. It seems you must find a new blacksmith. Lock it up. I don't want to dispose of it, but it could be cool. We're on fire! Oh no! We don't have enough initiative. Our butler woke you in the middle of the night just a couple of hours before dawn, shouting, "Fire, fire!" Usually calm and stoic, Adrian Holloway's face was now overcome with panic. Oh, man. I can't help him. I lose some initiative. No one was expecting anything from you, and the people's attitude toward the reigning monarch remains unchanged. The charred ruins of the burnt houses visible from the castle windows served as a lingering reminder of the fire. Rough. The Holy Father's only weakness. The only known weakness of Father Lumiel was chess. His eternally stoic face and ascetic lifestyle somehow coexisted with the spirit of an avid player who had honed his skills to a remarkable level. In every match, he displayed an unparalleled ability to foresee his opponent's moves and plan several steps ahead. Perhaps there was not a single noble in the kingdom who did not know how to play chess. A good game was considered a hallmark of not only great intellect, but also a sign of refined aristocracy. This evening, in your study in Valandor, the atmosphere was especially tense. A popular opening, the Dalaman Gambit, was unfolding on the board. Holy Father Lumiel favored an aggressive attack with 2 knights, always aiming to seize the initiative early on. His fanchettoed bishop ominously eyed your king, shielded by a solid wall of pawns. 2 hours into the game, silence reigned in the room. Occasionally, you and your opponent stepped to the window to gaze at the slumbering city and release some of the tension from the complex match. I don't know chess well enough to know, like, what is the counter to what's happening here. By the shadows of Tenibris, the Holy Father murmured almost inaudibly. I did not see that. You studied the board intently, recalling the tales of Magnus the Heretic, a king whose chess mastery was so exceptional that he could easily defeat nearly any opponent. Unfortunately, that was the sole highlight of his reign, aside from his infamous clashes with the church. Your opponent began shifting his minor pieces erratically, constructing a mysterious combination. What was he plotting? Rumor had it that the church had not deposed Magnus solely for this heresy. Father Lumiel allegedly had personal grudges against the ill-fated king over the chessboard encounters. Of course, it sounded absurd, yet people believed it. Arguably, the end of your distant cousin Magnus the Heretic's reign was the most enigmatic among the many changes of rulers. His body was never found, and some whispered that Magnus still lived, hiding abroad or even retreating into seclusion into the Satyr Mountains. Whatever Lumiel was aiming for, his white piece's attack had stalled. You executed several skillful moves, pushing all his pieces to the board's edge. All that remained was to finish your assault and suffocate the opponent. After deliberation, you found an intriguing combination that would deliver a checkmate in 5 or 6 moves. Your opponent observed your every move intently, his gaze devoid of emotion. Yet, no, there could be no mistake. The choice before you was clear. Launch an immediate attack or continue building up your positional advantage. I attack now. I was going to say, I hope he was going to respect my chess acumen rather than being like, I'll let you win, or, you know. You scratch your head in bewilderment. Your grand plan unraveled by the 3rd move. Oh no, your father's cornered pieces suddenly came alive with exceptional harmony, and now you find yourself on the defensive. The opponent's knight and queen, which timidly lingered on the 1st and 2nd ranks just a few moves ago, launched an unstoppable attack. Your Majesty, you played well, but failed to decipher my plans. Understanding the enemy's strategy is the key to victory in this game. Sometimes one must yield and make concessions to lure the opponent into a trap. All right, I've learned something. We have 1 initiative. We've gained 7 initiative, and we have an informant now. I is reserved for the nobility. Many wealthy commoners would give half their fortune to add the prestigious I to their name. Okay, so maybe that is, like, silent in the name. It just indicates that you are a noble. Let's play through 1 more day here. 1 more turn, I suppose. Are you my informant? Or are you just a guy? You look creepy. Oh, yes, the informant just tells me how all of the relationships are going. All right, we got 8 with the army, 6 with the commoners and the church, and then 4 with the aristocracy. So we want to kind of work on that a little bit, I think. Sacred Grove. We don't have enough initiative to spend it on anything specifically. So let's go to the Sacred Grove, see if we can't work on our relationship with the aristocracy here. In the kingdom, there are still several places where ancient pre-luminous cults are observed, or ancestral traditions are maintained. The church tends to turn a blind eye to such practices, considering them a minor concern. One such place is the foothill forest near Fort Reinhard. Recently, 2 lumber mills were opened there, sparking outrage among the local population. While eliciting some delight from the capital's carpenters, wood from this part of the country is renowned for its unique property, becoming stone-like after prolonged immersion in water. That's pretty cool. The foothill forest is not just a thicket of trees. Its ancient trees reach skyward, their canopies casting dense, nearly impenetrable shade, even on sunny days. The forest teems with life. Streams bubble through moss, birds fill the air with song, and ancient ruins lie half buried under the moss and leaves, a reminder of times long past. To the locals, this is not merely a collection of lifeless trees, it is a sacred grove, a place of power and ancient rituals. Your meeting with two fervently debating men took place in a small village at the forest's edge. You were returning from Reinhard. The day was unseasonably bright for autumn. You guided your horse through the makeshift village square where the elderly forester Ulrich and the young aristocrat Taran awaited you. Ulrich approached you first. Your Majesty, he began, the foothill forest is a sacred grove. For centuries our ancestors worshipped the ancient spirits here. Cutting down this forest is sacrilege and the death of an entire village. Standing nearby, Taran listened with barely a perceptible smile on his lips. Tall with long hair styled in the northern fashion, he stepped forward when Ulrich finished speaking. His voice was cold and persuasive. Your Majesty, the felling of the forest is a necessary step for the prosperity of our kingdom. The foothill forest is rich in resources, and the timber we harvest is vital for construction and the army. Should we cling to old superstitions in the expense of progress? If we listened to people like this forester, we would still be living in caves. A crowd of local villagers had gathered around you. Many sided with Ulrich, including soldiers from the local garrison known for particular superstitions, yet there is also some who supported Taran, hoping for new jobs and improved livelihoods. The situation was tense, and you need to make a decision. The forest will benefit the entire kingdom, and sawmills will provide income for the locals. Don't dare interfere with the logging. I think I'm kind of leaning towards it. Is like superstitions have a place, but progress, and the trees are dead, right? I think we should work towards progress. We lost some health. I forgot about that. The old man collapsed to the ground and covered his face with hands, shaking as he cried out. He was picked up under the arms of several locals. They looked at you unpleasantly, though without open hostilities. The aristocrat hurried away, thanking you briefly beforehand. Gained some initiative, we gained some defense, and we gained some favor with the aristocrat. We lost it with the people, and we lost a little health. But overall, a net positive, because we gained initiative. And before we lose our initiative, I think we should spend it on... What do you do? We gain army and shield. We could do the herbalist. That would just counteract the thing that we just did. Detective. We don't have enough initiative for the detective. I think we go with the herbalist, just because it counteracts what just happened. Or maybe it would be good to go... What does the forge do? Okay, so you just make things stronger. Okay. Yeah, let's get the herbalist. Cool. All right, one more thing to do. 6856. Maybe let's do business? With the last trading ship came news that smugglers had settled at the northern end of the Bay of Storms. Such rumors could not go ignored, and you resolved to uncover the truth, set out with a large group of guards. The journey was long, but your determination and desire to address the situation carried you forward. After navigating through an endless series of coves, you arrived at the site by nightfall. Before you stretched a hidden world, shielded from the eyes of law-abiding citizens. A secluded cove surrounded by high cliffs served as the perfect refuge for the smugglers. Along the shoreline, torches blazed brightly, and dozens of people bustled about, their activities muffled by the sound of the waves. Your group went unnoticed at first, but a sharp-eyed lookout raised the alarm. Panic ensued. Some scrambled into boats trying to get as far from shore as possible, while others dived into the water. Meanwhile, two men raised their hands high in a gesture of peace and approached you. They introduced themselves as Ludon and Luke Fonchel, the leaders of this illicit enterprise. Their operation involved smuggling goods from Kokay and Dalamon to bypass the kingdom's customs. According to the brothers, desperation and harsh trade policies implemented by the previous Dauphin, Cigaris the Recluse, had driven them into this life. Cigaris had imposed high tariffs to replenish the treasury. Fonchel claimed that almost every resident of the northern Bay of Storms was involved in smuggling in some way, storing, transporting, or selling goods. Even the military aristocracy and peculiar red-robed cultists allegedly ordered exotic fruits through them. For the first time in years, locals no longer living in abject poverty, the brothers offered any assistance you desired as long as their lives and trade were spared. The kingdom will buy your goods at a fair price, and your business must be legalized. I will find a way. I was gonna say I would love to like drop the tariffs and let you but like keep like a reasonable tax. Yeah, I'll take a cut and deliver the agreed sum to Valendor. Of course, the aristocracy is pissed off. Smugglers began sending you regular financial gratitude, but the aristocrats were less than forgiving. Well, we gained initiative now. We did lose some favor with the aristocrats, but gaining an initiative... Oh, we lose an aristocrat relationship every 2 turns. Okay, so we're gonna have to, like, babysit that now. That's crazy, but not surprising. Summon the royal doctor, summon the... Oh, we were building the herbalist! Oh, no. The morning was cold and windy when you begin to feel a faint tickle in your throat. The air imbued with the scent of autumn leaves and the distant sounds of the forest suddenly seemed heavy and sticky. You, accustomed to the freshness of the morning dew in the royal park, now felt your body betraying you with fatigue. By noon, the golden rays of the sunlight pierced through the dense autumn clouds, and the signs of an impending cold were impossible to ignore. Your nose began to run, and every attempt to take a deep breath triggered a cough. It felt as if the air was filled with tiny needles that pricked your throat with each breath. Eventually, you decided to settle into your favorite armchair by the fireplace. The warmth of the fire was soothing, but it could not banish the chill that had settled deep within. A cup of hot tea with honey and lemon prepared by your ever-attentive butler provided slight relief, but the persistent headache refused to listen. Well, we did that, and I thought we'd lose some initiative. And days, rough. The murder of the pawnbroker. In the western village of Podiak, an event occurred that chilled the blood of all who heard it. A peasant named Rasco, driven into a corner by poverty and desperation, sought relief by borrowing money from the local moneylender. This decision proved fatal for 3 people. His creditor, known as Smerda Lid, known throughout the region as the Old Usurer, relentlessly pressured Rasco for weeks, leaving him with no hope of salvation. Smerda's sister, Anna, lived with her, and a quiet and submissive woman, little more than a shadow of her domineering sibling. On a dark night, as if nature itself had wished to conceal the madness about to unfold, Rasco gripped a heavy axe in his trembling hand. What occurred in Leeds' home that night was described by the village elder as in such detail it left some women who heard it pale and faint. The next following morning, Rasco, tormented and broken, turned himself in. His confession was cold and detached, as if he were recounting someone else's tale. News of the double murder spread like wildfire across the kingdom. It seemed Rasco's fate was sealed, a direct path to the gallows. However, the jury, seeing him as a victim of circumstance and believing he was not of sound mind, sentenced Rasco to ecclesiastical penance in one of the distant Luminite monasteries. People whispered. Many had hated the old usurer, though they pitied the meek Anna. Among the aristocracy, a storm of outrage erupted. Smerda was a part of their circle, and a lenient punishment cast doubt on the integrity of the court. Representatives of the nobility demanded true justice, warning that relations between the aristocracy and the crown might suffer greatly otherwise. Well, we really have to lean into appeasing the aristocracy after what we did with the smugglers, huh? Oh my god. No, I think we have to execute him. People are disheartened by the king's decision. Does this mean the court's ruling hold no weight? However, the aristocracy was quietly celebrating their small victory. Reports have reached you about a mysterious cult emerging in the Bay of Storms known as the Red Hoods. Their actions stir both curiosity and concern. They distribute food to the needy, not just simple bread and vegetables, but exotic fruit and rare delicacies that common folk have never encountered before. Informants say that the Red Hoods demand nothing in return, refrain from any unlawful activities, and behave with an almost unsightly level of politeness. The commoners are delighted, praising not only this enigmatic cult, but also you, the new king, whom they credit for allowing such generosity to flourish. Yet behind this facade of kindness and altruism, there may be more at play. Perhaps it is only a matter of time before their true motives are revealed, or perhaps not. No, we can't arrest them. That doesn't make any sense. Bren, this is interesting. Bring one of these Red Hoods to me. Perhaps they can be of use. The church hated that. You see for the first time a hood, or Stella Cadence as they call themselves. The figure in red sits serenely on a bench in the park near you. near the castle, awaiting their meeting with you. She is softly humming a melodic tune. Stella Cadence softly gleaming, in the night your light is streaming, guiding hearts with gentle sway, as you gracefully fade away. A star flew by, its fire gleaming, through night our hearts with hope redeeming. Guide us gently like a spark, until your blaze fades in the dark. Seeing you, she stops singing and hurriedly rises. Beneath the hood, faint glimpses of fair curls and skin the color of Caradine marble are visible. An aristocrat, clearly. Your Majesty, what an honor! The girl suddenly kneels at your feet. What an honor to kneel before the precursor. Stammering and visibly anxious, she begins recounting how she and her brothers in faith witnessed the fall of the star. The moment of its descent, they experienced the revelation, spoken with unmistakable reverence as if capitalized. The future Stella Cadence claimed to have grasped some profound truth in that moment, donning red as a mark of their calling. Since then, they have wandered the lands, performing good deeds and spreading the revelation to those who were denied the chance to witness the celestial fall. They call you the precursor, the one who heralded its divine event. After all, you ascended to the throne on the very day Stella Cadence was born. Abruptly, she bows and announces she must leave. Wait, what? Anyway, abruptly, she bows and announces she must leave, but assures you that you will meet again soon. Her sudden departure leaves you off balance, without a chance to ask her much of anything. And then it dawns on you that you didn't even ask her name. I thought that was her name. Keep a close eye on them. You cannot sit on two chairs at once. There can only be one religion in the kingdom. I wanna flip the religion. Can I do that? I think we did miss out on a whole week there. The Exile of Tenibris, his recent decisions you made, which provoked a mixed reaction throughout the kingdom, give rise to an absurd yet persistent rumor. The Dark Lord Tenibris has seized the mind of the new Dauphin. It is said that the new king himself was kind-hearted, but his thoughts have been clouded by the Master of Night, who whispered sinister plans into his ear. At first it seemed like this typical Luminite chatter, but rumor gained traction, fueled by increasingly grim fabrications. Soon the situation took an unexpected turn. A group of fanatics arrived in the capital and spearheaded a spontaneous movement for the purification of the king. In their minds, Tenebris could only be banished through prayer, or by more radical means that directly violated the Luminite code. A group gathered outside the castle, singing psalms loudly, tracing solar symbols over themselves, and casting their eyes heavenward. Among them were pilgrims, craftsmen, and a few yawning soldiers, inexplicably drawn to the spectacle. Hundreds of people assembled at the castle gates, voices echoing across the surrounding lands. Tenebris, leave the heart of our king! Some fanatics smeared themselves with ashes and flung themselves to the ground in ecstatic prayer. The capital's residents looked on with mixed bewilderment and curiosity. From the castle windows, you could hear the rhythmic hum of voices that seemed to shake the very air. Servants exchanged uneasy glances and whispered behind your back. Adrian Holloway stood grimly at the castle walls, frowning as he gazed at the crowd. You knew you had to act. Leaving the situation as it would only give rise to the more foolish rumors. How could you respond? Climb onto the castle wall and proclaim that Tenebris has left your body? Climb onto the castle wall and proclaim that I feel like I'm gonna fall off the castle wall, but that would be kind of funny. He is trapped in the castle. Let's purify them. They hesitated at first, but began to storm the gates. The guards tried to pacify them, but the enraged fanatics hurled stones and sticks. Order was eventually restored, but far too late. Dozens were injured near the gates, and several lost their lives. Oh, man. That was rough. Well, you can see how the game progresses, so it's all about balancing the different things in the kingdom. Hopefully I don't screw it up any further and get myself killed by the church or the aristocracy or anyone else who hates me. But yeah, that has been the succession of Changing Kings. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks again to Quaqua Games for sending me a code to check out the game. I've enjoyed my fun little time with it here. Do check it out on Steam if you're interested. But my name has been Ben the Human. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click the like button. It helps me out a lot. If you want to see more stuff like the succession of Changing Kings or other videos I have going on the channel, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you have your notifications on so you know when the next videos go live. But until next time, everybody, I hope you had a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody!